Welcome to our YouTube channel, In Our Basement. My name is Niels.
And I'm Gail. We're going to be having conversations and share our thoughts about things that we're really passionate about.
And just before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
And if you like the content, then feel free to share it on your social media platform. Hey, welcome. We're here in our basement.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Today we've got our good friend Bernie from, he's part of an a cappella group called Those Guys. Mm-hmm. And as he is a performing artist himself, there are so many people who are in the same shoes as him that during this whole coronavirus, this COVID-19, you're unable to be in front of a live audience for actors, singers, dancers. There's the sound guys, there's the lights. There's so many different aspects that we're unable to be a part of right now, and just like how difficult that is. So
I think a cappella groups, though, while you've just shared all the challenges, something that I think a cappella groups do really well. I mean, yeah, they sound really good in singing. I love it when they can like drop the beats and it sounds like an instrument. And I'm just like, is that really them? Or is that like an instrument? I'm like, no way. Yeah. That sounds so cool.
Those guys, they're pretty good at that.
Yeah. And so, Gail, you yourself, like you've got some experience performing. Well, specifically within the context of church, as you are a worship leader.
I mean, I did do the whole church plays and musicals.
Oh my gosh, the cantatas.
And I was Candy Cane Jane in Candy Cane Lane. I think I was grade 7.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
Right.
Now I'm, worship leader. I don't really do the whole acting
man, cantatas.
anymore.
I think my mom has some VHS tapes of me and cantatas too. Okay, so you as a worship leader, like the last time I saw you sing at church, leading a worship team in person pre-pandemic was in February.
Yeah.
And then we switched to our church, specifically doing an online platform and some people doing worship from Zoom in their house. And then the next time that you led worship, as this is being recorded at the end of September, was just mid-September. So what was that like, leading worship again in a public space after having, specifically the church, after having such a big gap?
Well, for me, as a worshiper, as a Christian, I am so thankful that I have a piano and a room, and I live in a house where I can belt my voice out. And
she sings to the squirrels and the birds.
And not worry about my neighbors hearing me.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to be able to do that on my own, but there's such a difference in worshiping God, just you and God, and a difference between that and worshiping with your brothers and sisters in Christ, as we call them brothers and sisters, as God is our Father and we are his children. And so we're a family. And so joining together with brothers and sisters together singing worship is just so different. And I think that's probably similar with performing arts. We're doing that alone and doing it with people. It's just, there's something so powerful in that.
Yeah, and I remember mid-September when you led worship, it was a blessing, so to speak, as part of your worship set list was a song called The Blessing, which is a fantastic Christian song written by Carrie Job, Cody Carnes, and Elevation Worship. And this this was released just before the pandemic, and you got to sing it. And honestly, I just wanted to maybe weep, or even whether it was the song or even just celebrate that we were here gathered together, singing and worshiping. It was just such a powerful time. I know from my mom too, she's in her church choir and in Toronto, and at a church of well over 1,000, maybe close to 2,000. Anyways, there's a lot of people, and their church choir has been canceled. And their church services are probably not going to even meet until at least, the end of the year. And then maybe in the new year, they'll kick off again. But COVID with music has certainly like rewritten the rules for how this looks.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I went and led worship at church, I was hesitant, but it was me and two other people. We were like well spaced.
Yeah, totally.
And everyone was wearing masks. And then it was only when we sang our songs leading worship that I took my mask off. And right when it was finished, I put my mask back on. And like I had my alcohol wipes wiping everything down. And like I have my own mic so I'm not sharing mics because, oh boy, I'm so thankful that I'm able to use my own mic and we're able to have those hygienic cautionary things. So yeah, it's a blessing that I'm able to be a part of that. But yeah, so today we're going to talk with Bernie about like how difficult it is as a performer and in the arts, and for us as people who love to go to concerts in person. And so yeah, we're going to chat with Bernie. Hey Bernie, welcome here. We're in our basement.
Hey Bernie.
I'm in your basement.
Yes, welcome here.
It's been so long since I've actually been in your basement. Last time I was in your basement, I don't think it was furnished. It's been that long.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
it's been a while. Yeah. So we're here now and we're in our basement, and I am so thankful that we get to call you friend.
Yeah, bro.
And yeah, we were chatting the other day, and we've been friends. It's like 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, we're coming on. Yeah, definitely 10 years at least.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that
I
nuts?
remember that summer, our good friend brought us together as friends.
She did. I remember Jenna said, she said that we're going to go pick up my friend Gail. I'm like, okay. And then we picked you up, and then you came out, and you're a little bit late. And the reason why you're late is because you had spent some extra time to make us lunch, and you made us all little chicken wraps.
Aww.
And like with like carameled onions. And I'm like, she's like my best friend.
Wow.
Yeah, good old days back in my parents' kitchen when, I didn't have to pay for anything.
Did you have a friend anniversary thing on Facebook that popped up as a video? Maybe you
I
did.
think I'm sure it's somewhere there.
Yeah.
We took a lot of photos like during those first couple of years between the three of us.
Well,
like
Jenna loves to take pictures. And I
Yes.
think that stems from her mother, who
that
always loves to take pictures. I remember like there at least a few years, Jenna and I would get together with her mom, and her mom would take friendship photos of us.
Oh yeah, I've seen
Aw.
those.
That's cute.
Yeah. But anyways, so I wanted to chat a little bit about you, and so you're part of a group, and you told me that in 2009 you got together with a group of friends and you started an a cappella group.
What?
I did. Yeah.
So how did that all start?
Well, essentially what had happened was I was singing with a group that was based out of the University of Winnipeg for a few years. We were called the Dubs, and that group started. It was like a trial course. There wasn't. It was kind of like testing the waters to see if there was any interest, and then eventually, if there was enough interest, that it might become an official course with actual credits. But that actually never happened. Yeah, so for the first couple of years, we were affiliated with the University of Winnipeg. We got a rehearsal space there, and then the UW didn't pick it up, but we wanted to keep singing with each other, so we continued on as an independent group from there.
Okay.
And we were together right up until, so from 2004 to 2009, so for 5 years we were together. In the first 2 years we were with UW, and then that group, everyone was kind of growing apart. A lot of people had other things to do. People were finishing up higher levels of education, and I wasn't ready to be done singing. So I took advice from Marilyn Redekop, who was the director of that group, and her advice was create your own opportunities.
Mm.
So I
Wow.
did that. I had always wanted to sing in an all male a cappella group since high school.
Cool.
I had sang in vocal jazz at Maples Collegiate, and I remember sifting through we had CDs back then, like a library of CDs to just listen to, and there was a couple CDs that were there that really stuck out, and it was the Nylons
Mm-hmm.
and Straight No Chaser, which was a collegiate a cappella group,
Okay.
and Rockapella. So those are those are CDs, groups that had CDs in this library, and I would listen to them on my spares. A lot of people went home on their spares. I went to the music room and listened to CDs
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
But it's essentially it sparked just like a fascination with music, like pop music that was
Yeah.
being made without instruments, and that really clicked with me. So here and there throughout these years leading up to those guys, I would get small groups together for like one-off events.
Mm.
There was one little group that we had for a fundraiser I put together where we called ourselves Boys a cappella, and that was really fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was for it was a fundraiser for a good friend of mine who was fundraising for to sponsor her missions trip over in Africa.
Okay.
Cool.
So and remember specifically that we planned, because she was heading out to Africa. We ended our set with Lion Sleeps Tonight, and
Aw.
it was just so appropriate. It was so much
Wow.
fun. And then so yeah, that boys a cappella thing was also kind of like if this dubs thing doesn't like go on forever, I think this is what I'm gonna do. So
Mhm.
two of the guys, Ben and Mike, who had sang in the dubs with me, I said, hey, I thinking about putting this group together, and was wondering if you guys want to be on board, and they said yes. So I'm like, okay, so that's three. I originally wanted like 8 of us, like 7 or
Mhm.
8,
Yeah.
and so I reached out to a bunch of friends of mine that I had done local theater with, people that I knew that could sing, or guys that I had sung in choirs with.
Mm.
So that was basically it. It was basically me getting together with a bunch of friends that I had sung with before,
Mm-hmm.
and there was basically no auditions at that point, because I wanted the group to be, I didn't want to spend so much time building chemistry.
Mm.
And I knew if I just handpicked the guys myself, that the chemistry level would already be there.
Mm.
Wow.
And that lives true today. 10 years later, the biggest feedback we get is um, you guys sound great, but what I really loved about the show is that you guys really look like you're having fun up there, and you guys look like you're like really friends. And it's funny because we just look at them like, well, we're like best friends.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they turn around, we're walking around in like public, and like it's kind of funny. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's really fun and cute. But it's like people are like, they get really they're surprised when they see 2 or 3 of us in the group hanging out together. It's just like, yeah, we're like we're best friends. We spend a lot of time with each other. Our lives are so intertwined.
Yeah.
So sorry, long
Wow.
story short, I wanted to get a group together with a bunch of guys, and that's what happened. I essentially, I always say this. I wanted to start a boy band, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
And some of them agreed to do so, as long as we've refrained from calling ourselves a boy band.
Well, you're just, no,
Yeah.
you're not just, you're those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're those
That-
cool guys who sing an a cappella group. And yeah, no, you guys are a lot of fun to hang out with. I'm so glad that I get to call you and a bunch of you guys friends. So
Yeah.
yeah, because you guys really do hang out and
Mhm.
like how like there's been weddings that you guys have all been a part of, each other's
Hmm.
weddings, and
Yeah.
that just really means a lot and
Yeah.
shows how much you guys love each other.
Well, that's the
So
thing. Like my wedding a couple years ago, I obviously I knew I couldn't have all of them
mhm,
on my side, but I was fortunate enough to have two of them, Mike being my
Mhm.
best man, and
mhm,
Derek also being there. But I also wanted to incorporate them into the ceremony because they're not just a big part of my life, but they're a part of Robin's life as well, my
yeah,
wife Robin.
yeah,
So it was really
yeah,
special to have them sing during our
yeah.
ceremony. Yeah.
Yeah, I love hearing how you guys are tight knit for sure. That's been my experience too, hanging out with you guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
So for you
Hmm.
specifically and for those guys, I just imagine right now during we've got the coronavirus, COVID-19, that's just been hanging on for too long.
Excuse
Mhm.
me.
And,
Yeah.
God only knows how much longer this is going to go for.
Right.
Um, so this has really been impacted to you guys. And how has it been for you not being able to sing live and perform live in person?
It's not gonna lie, it's been tough. I miss it. I think
Yeah.
I think you'd have a hard time finding someone who doesn't perform on a regular and have them say that they don't miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find ways to sing in and around the house,
Hmm.
um, but it when it comes down to it, you just want to share. That's
Hmm.
you just want to share your feelings, your thoughts, and your emotions. And for me and a lot of other performers, it's through singing. And when you don't have that audience, um, it's just not there, right?
Hmm. Yeah, because like this in the performing arts whole subject, there's the lights, there's the sound, there's the costumes, there's the
Hmm.
dancers, there's the singers, there's the actors. Like this is like affecting so many people, and
Yeah,
it's just like this is they're they're made for creativity, and this is like where they are, and they it's
yeah,
like it's so difficult. So
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, even a little part of it is you want that feedback. You do,
Hmm.
and not gonna lie, your ego definitely wants, a little pat on the back from time to
Hmm.
time. But for the most part, it's just being able to be in that moment with a room full of people, just to be, just to be vulnerable. I
Totally.
being vulnerable with other people is such a I always think it feels like like a drug to me,
Mm.
or like a natural high. It's
Mhm.
just I love the caring nature of people.
Mm.
So being in a room where I'm vulnerable and I don't mind crying, as if you've been to one of our shows, you'll know that there will be some moment I will be full on ugly crying, and I think it's because I enjoy that feeling of being um, uh, hugged, even like
Yeah.
not physically, but like you could just feel that warmth, and you know that if you're in a room with 200 people, um, if you are sharing something that that is making you emotionally vulnerable, you
Mhm.
know that every single person in that room is going to catch you if you fall,
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
and that's
That's
such a nice
beautiful.
feeling, you
Yeah,
know.
and the
Wow.
thing about like your audience, like those guys' audience in particular, I've been to a lot of your shows, and
You
it
have.
really feels like the audience, a lot of them are like coming to most of your shows, and it's almost
Yeah.
like your audience feels like a family.
It yes,
Mhm.
and it's more. It's never more prominent during our holiday show, like our Christmas show,
Mm.
because it's become, and we've heard this from people that come to our shows that um, our Christmas show has become a family tradition, and that
Mhm.
makes us feel super nice
Yeah.
Wow.
because it just comes full circle because
Yeah.
now the audience feels like our family.
Yeah.
You know, it's it's truly special. It's really nice.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed getting to go to your at home release album? Was that your last show?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
Park
managed to. Yeah, I was at the Park Theater on March 1st.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right before, the stay-at-home orders came out. It was just
Like,
before everything kind of shut down. We had our show, and man, that was crazy.
yeah, that was one where like I felt honored that I got to go because
Hmm.
like that was one that you guys didn't. It was one night, right? Or was it
Yeah,
two?
it was one
What
night. Yeah,
one night, and it was at the Park Theater, which is not very many, and so like those tickets were like gone.
they went pretty fast. They did. They went
Yeah,
pretty fast, which is the nice problem to have.
yeah,
And again, that's just another way that our our people
yeah.
show us some love, which is really nice.
So we touched on how the Park Theater concert would have been your last in-person one, and then
Yeah.
later on, I think it was just a couple months ago, you recently did an online concert. Um,
Hmm.
and so from a performer side, like how did it feel uh, having an online concert in comparison to the ones that you've done in person? Like, how was that for those guys?
Well, initially it was great. Like just when I think back on it, it was what we needed and what I needed.
Mhm.
Wow.
I just needed to sing with my brothers. At that point, what was it? March, April, May, June, July, August. 6 months. 6 months where
Wow.
we hadn't
Yeah.
even been in the same room together.
Yeah.
And
You
where
you guys had done like videos, but it was like individually by yourself and then sending them to put it together.
exactly,
Yeah.
and yeah, and those are a lot of fun. We're gonna keep doing that as long as we need to. Um, but being able to get together safely, by the way, or we try to be as safe as we can.
Hmm.
Um, just a little backstory: in we planned a live stream concert online, and we sang in the backyard. So we made sure we are outdoors. We are 6 feet apart.
Totally.
Um, and that we are all facing one direction. I
And
just
you
tried
had
to,
the beatboxer in the front, so you weren't being
yeah, we
shouted.
exactly. That was strategic. That was
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
strategic.
To sing
So we
moistly
had.
right now. Could resist.
I hate that word.
Moist. Okay.
Moist. Um, yeah, and it was great. The being able to sing with my brothers was so good,
Mhm.
and I think the ulterior motive to that was I was foreseeing that this was not going to be a regular thing for the next little while. I felt like being able to have that performance was going to fuel me, fill up the gas tank to get me to another, 6, 8 months down the
Mhm.
line.
Yeah.
Because once the winter hits, you're like, I don't think we're gonna be able to do an outdoor concert.
Yeah.
Um, and stream it. It's just the logistics aren't there. So
Yeah.
to me, being able to do that was uh, was a blessing.
Mhm.
Um, Not having an audience there was totally different, though. It was great in the way that people were
Hmm.
watching us live as we were going, which was a lot of fun. Our crew, we had a little crew set up TV monitors in front so that we could see people commenting as we
Oh,
we
that's
went. And
awesome.
Yeah.
Niels was sending some gold during that day.
Yeah.
One of our guys wasn't able to be at the show. He's out of town at the moment, and like periodically, Niels would write, like he would type in "Let Darren out of the shed."
Well,
Let Darren on the shed.
because
Let
Darren
Yeah,
Darren
said
on the
that he
shed.
was in the shed, right?
Oh, that's what it
I
was. He
think.
typed it on YouTube and said, like, Darren's not here. And he's just like, I'm
oh,
in the shed. Let
I
me
didn't even
out.
know that. That's
Yeah.
too funny.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
So how did you feel like, I know you've kind of started to touch on, but like, how did you feel like the response was from the audience that evening?
It was great. We had one of our crew people, I don't know what to call them, but they're just like our crew people. Like
Mhm.
we have our team. Let's just say team. Our team. We had our sound guy Chris. We had Tori, who was managing a lot of the stage managing duties, and then we had Zoe on one of the cameras, and Tori was just keeping an eye on the number of people tuning in. And we asked her not to tell us until the very end, and the number she gave us was a great number. You know, it was a lot more than we had expected, and it was just, again, it was just nice to see people not forget about us, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the comments are just constant. People, it's really cool just to see if I got a chance to watch it back, and it was just like, it wasn't just a comment here and there. It was just comments constantly. People were chatting with each other. It was like a sense of community.
Yeah.
You know, people,
Wow.
it just felt like people were actually at a concert. You know, they just were able to speak during the show via their fingers.
Yeah.
Which is good. But you know what we're missing was the cheers. You know, we're missing the applause, and the applause is always really nice. And it does kind of get a little awkward when you finish this big epic song and then you hear 2 or 3 woos from the team.
And I completely agree. I think the energy was high, and I remember at the end of it, like, because it was Gail and I watching at home, and something that typically happens often at your amazing concerts is people are chanting one more song, and I'm literally like there typing like one more song, and I'm like saying it out loud, and I'm just like, come on, he better do another song. They better not go anywhere, and I'm just like so intense, and I'm typing it, and then I type like one more song, let Darren out of the shed, one more song.
And then
That was awesome.
When those guys decided to do one, it was almost like you stood up and was like the Golden State Warriors or Toronto Raptors just like won the game.
I was like, yeah, they're back.
So,
oh, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that, with the pandemic, things have been like really hard, but like you guys doing that concert was certainly a highlight of the summer for me, for
Thanks,
sure.
man.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear. And that's, that's a big reason why we do it, is we just want to make people feel good,
Yeah. So, we're able to watch concerts like this live from online, but there's a lot of people who find such joy in going to concerts live and being able to like sing along or like participate, and just like there's so much joy that comes out of like getting together with friends, and like sometimes the bar is open, you get to have a drink during intermission and chat, and there's so much joy that comes along with not only from a performer's side, but also from an attender's side as an audience member.
Yeah.
So do you have any encouragement for those who are like, I just want to go see so-and-so, or I want to go see a concert? Do you have any encouragement for any of those people?
I think encouragement is the key word there. If you're missing, a local artist, and if they've been relatively quiet, reach out to them. It doesn't hurt to reach out and just say, hey, I really enjoy going to see you live, and I'm really missing you. It'd be, if just letting you know, if you were to ever live stream a performance, I would be tuned in right away. And that happened to us. We were kind of toying with the idea of live streaming a show, and we were kind of like humming and hawing, but you know what, honestly, there was a few emails as soon as we started like putting out kind of feelers out there, just kind of like we sent I think we did like a Facebook poll,
Wow.
asking people if they would tune in. Not only did people reply to that Facebook post, but we started getting emails from people saying that we heard that you might be putting on a concert. Can you please let us know if that's actually happening?
Wow.
And that was just that affirmation is telling us we should do that. So I guess my advice to you, if you're missing, those shows, just reach out. It doesn't hurt if they don't. You're not going to hit any home runs if you don't swing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're really missing, there's really not a whole lot we can do. If you're missing being in a room full of people, it's just hang in there. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And there are I know we're just in a period where we're kind of scaling back on a few things at the moment, but some venues are open right now with limited seating, and
Mhm.
um, if you are safe, if you're going to be put on a mask and
Mhm.
get out there and catch a show if you want to do so, but please be safe in doing so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's like it's tough for, I think, especially extroverts being isolated inside. And
Yeah.
um, right now, Winnipeg is in what we call Code Orange. And
Mhm.
so, like, gatherings are limited and you have to wear masks, it's mandatory. And so, like, yeah, there's more to it, but that's kind of the gist. And so, and with winter coming, it's like, are we going to go into a worse level? We don't know.
Right.
But right now, it's like have those like socially distanced, and like make sure that you're keeping yourself clean, like the area you're around clean.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because like sometimes, like when we're out in public, I've got my alcohol wipes, not just like the like
Yeah.
Lysol. I've got
Yeah.
my alcohol wipes
While
wiping
you're
things down.
wiping things down. Awesome.
So yeah, it's yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, as an extrovert myself, I'm not gonna lie. I've been struggling lately with the idea uh, of the winter coming. You know, things are
Mm.
as soon as the leaves started turning. You know, generally I like the fall because
mhm,
I love fall fashion. I love being able to layer, and that's like one of my favorite, like what things I'm looking forward to is just breaking out a lot more clothes that I can layer on top of each other. It's just when I feel like I look good, I feel good.
yeah.
Um, but as soon as the summer weather started to go, I started really thinking about how lonely the next few months are going to be
Mm,
because
Oh no.
I'm not going to have the opportunity. Me and Robin are not going to have the opportunity to take advantage of, you know, the warm sun and head out to the park with, you know, good friends like Gail and Niels, and just hang out and catch up for a little bit.
mm,
Um, so that's what I'm struggling with, and I think I think I'm gonna really have to rely on um, technology. You know,
Mm.
as much as it's not the same. I'm slowly realizing, and I'm such a tech geek. I don't know why I'm slow to realize this, but I'm gonna have to rely heavily on these Zoom calls and
mhm,
whatnot to keep
yeah,
that social connection
yeah,
while we are, you know, in our apartments,
yeah,
um, and feel the love this way.
yeah.
So
And hey, if you're like feeling like you're adventurous, there's always bonfires to stay warm outdoors in the winter.
yeah, yeah.
That's true.
My front half feels so warm, but my back end is
Yeah,
cold.
Cold.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We did some outdoor bonfires in Yellowknife in like minus 45 Celsius or crazy like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I don't know what we were thinking, but we did it. Yeah.
Because was it New Year's? Our friend, he had fireworks out on a lake, and there was
Oh
like
man.
a huge bonfire. I was like,
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like we're gonna melt the lake and fall through, but no, it was just ice was so thick. But yeah, it's like there's different ways to be creative in times like winter to try and still get
Yeah,
together. But
Speaking of
definitely.
winter and the cold,
mm,
Christmas kind of coming up, any plans on what or any secrets, anything you want to leak on the show in our
I,
basement? I'm
I,
kidding. Anything
s-
coming up for Christmas, maybe?
I saw this one coming. You know,
Yeah.
I can tell you that we are we're actively planning something. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you are.
So uh, a few things, some things have happened in the last couple of weeks. Um, we were we were approached uh, we were approached by a large theater um, company. I don't want to I don't want to say, but we were approached by
hmm
a large theater company with a great idea to partner on something for the Christmas season. And you know, we had gone through a couple meetings, and and it would have been something different for the guys to do, and we over the course of a whole, so I got the call with the initial idea, met with the company through a Zoom call, got as much information as I could, then brought it back to the guys, and then we took a whole week of numerous, whether we took a day to just think about it, then come back, took another day to think about it, come back to each other. We discussed, went back and forth, and then ultimately there just wasn't enough. There just wasn't enough information to make this event safe for all involved. And we just didn't feel comfortable doing that, because it could either, and we said this, it can go really great, right? It could be fantastic and people, it'll be amazing, or it could go very bad. And we just couldn't take that, that 50-50 risk. And so we politely declined at this time, which was really hard for us to do. So now and that would have happened during Christmas time. It was a Christmas show. So now we're at square one. We have our venue that we normally have our Christmas shows booked regularly. And we have a few more weeks to let them know whether or not we're going to keep that booking and carry on. I can tell you that a show with an audience is off the table. That's not happening. We're thinking we have to. So I'll tell you, it's between two options. It's either doing another streaming show in a larger space, in a larger space, but we're keeping an eye on what is safe and what is not. Currently, there's a lot of things that are really hard to get around, especially in the winter, and singing indoors is just not. It's just it's kind of iffy. And again, it could go one way, it could go great, it could go really bad, and we just don't have the information to point one way or the other. And the other option is to pre-record all of our Christmas songs, and the videos that we've been putting out, we call them the Brady Bunch style videos, where we're all on the screen, right? And just pre-record as many as we can before the Christmas show, and then have a Christmas themed show where in between the pre-recorded performances, we jump into a Zoom meeting like this, where we are actively introducing the next song, interacting with everyone that's watching the streams, and having them chat in, and then we'll answer questions and whatnot, and then and just do that. Just go pre-record song, live stream interview, I guess you could say. So it's kind of a hybrid of the two.
For anyone listening or watching, I'd like to say, if you can come up with any safe ideas for those guys to put on a show for all of us, please send them in to us or to those guys.
Drop it in the comments.
Drop it in the comments. Is there a email address that people can be sending to?
Yes. So if they want to reach out to us, it is info@thoseguysacapella.com. In acapella, don't forget there are 2 P's and 2 L's. Those Guys Acapella. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Those are the 2 ideas that we're toying around with right now. So hopefully one of them comes to fruition so that we can keep this Christmas tradition alive. Sheldon was just saying that he just doesn't see us not doing anything, because it's become a part of his tradition, and it's become our own tradition too, just to be able to spend Christmas with each other.
Wow. And whatever you guys do, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be wearing Christmas socks. And I'm going to be wearing my Red Those Guys shirt. That's right up the stairs. I know exactly where it is. I love that. I love the Those Guys merch.
Well, thank you so much for joining us in our basement, Bernie. We've had such a great time chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us in on all this information. And hopefully somehow those guys can do their yearly Christmas show.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed.
Thanks for the encouragement you gave us, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you and lots of love to the rest of those guys.
Love y'all.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks, Bernie, so much for joining us and for what you shared. Some of the encouragement and big takeaways for me is that, it's like we're in this together and we do need to hang in there. And I really like what you said about sending a message to an artist and maybe just encouraging them or just sending some love, whether it's even through Facebook or through Instagram. Really cool how you put some feelers out there. And so, and I'm really excited just for what could be to come, and just was also really pumped for what we got to even experience this summer. And I really, really mean that, like that concert that those guys put on virtually, that was seriously one of the highlights of my summer, because this has definitely been a challenging year, and I'm sure many who were watching could relate. And so it was really cool to just, even though we weren't physically there, we were still able to feel like we were there.
Yeah, and we are friends of them.
We are.
But I feel like I'm a genuine fan of those guys.
Are you that girl? But I know that was a bit of a pun, but isn't that like a thing, right? Like they have shirts that say that girl on it?
No, I think it was just one person made a shirt.
One person made a shirt that said that girl. That's awesome.
But anyways, we spoke about an album that they recently came out with.
Yeah.
Called At Home. And it is, so we're in Winnipeg, they're from Winnipeg, and they put together this album of covers from artists of Winnipeg. I don't know if it was just Winnipeg or Manitoba as well.
Yeah, maybe.
And so, yeah, it's a really good album. It's called At Home. Those guys, Cappella. And like Bernie said, don't forget, Cappella has 2 P's and 2 L's. Mm-hmm. You can find this on iTunes.
Maybe.
I don't know if it's on Spotify or anything like that, but I know that it's on iTunes, or you can purchase it. I'm pretty sure they still have these.
Yeah, we'll probably we'll link to it in the description, because they'll have some Christmas stuff on there too, which is really sweet.
Yes, they've got a few really good albums, and so I would encourage you to look them up, follow them on social media, and look them up. Well, maybe we'll put a video link.
Yeah, we'll
just to introduce you guys, because man, those guys, you guys are so talented, and I'm so thankful for you.
We'll introduce you guys to those guys
in our basement.
In our basement. You see what we did there? All right. Catch you next time.
Thanks for joining us today in our basement.
Yeah, and before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and share this content in your social media platforms, and we hope to see you next time in our basement.